this year, including Snoop Dogg on September 5th and Ron White October 17th. Get the complete details on all their upcoming shows on the concert page, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Interesting reaction coming into our discussion with Johnny Athletic. Allen and Afton, why is the Garnett jersey retirement considered a big deal here? Isn't it another example of a Minnesota commemorative print or banner for a team that has yet to really do something? We're celebrating a player that was great, but he had to leave Minnesota to win. Shouldn't this be something we mourn or resent more than celebrate? It seems as if it seems like us lowering our standards from celebrating winning to celebrating anything just to celebrate. I do hope that the Garnett banner hanging in is not the high point of the season. Alan, I love you, but I think you completely misread the genuine emotion of your average Minnesota Timberwolves fan.
Hand is raised.
And I can just tell you that you can. I think you can do two things at once. I think you can acknowledge the frustration of the fact that he had to go someplace else to win the banner. But I just know, as someone who was there, the bond that existed between that player and this franchise, a franchise that had done nothing until he arrived. Now, there was frustration about, 6 straight one-and-dones? So it's not a matter of being perfect, but it was we've got a real player here, and it's felt weird that he has been sort of in this period of schism between him and ownership when it was Glenn Taylor. And I'm not here to take sides. I don't think Garnett's blameless at all, as we've talked about many times on this show. But I don't think this has anything to do with lowering a standard. I think this is trying to right a wrong. If there hadn't been a schism, even if he won a title someplace else, Garnett's banner was going to be raised inside Target Center. That's not anything, to me, you have to apologize for. Is it deep down? Can it be a cruel reminder of the fact that they couldn't realize his potential or maximize what he is capable of doing as being one of the great two-way players of all time? Yeah, I mean, but those Wolves fans know that. It's not like they're going to forget that, but he's too good a player. He was too good a player at a time where they had so little else going on. And his history, which was obviously, straight out of high school, I think part of that is the deal, too. So I think there's too much enmity. There are a couple other people that, so new guys don't want to give him ownership either. Surprise, get his jersey in the rafters quick before things go sour. When I asked about what his duties are going to be here, that wasn't me leading with a leading question, hoping that he's suddenly the de facto general manager of the team. That was just me finding out what the Wolves' intentions are on the basis of what Johnny Athletic knew. There's no illusion. I don't think there's anybody who has to worry about him taking power away from Tim Conley. I think Conley is very safe as long as he wanted to do it.
As long as he wants to.
I didn't know. I didn't know what else that might be involved in potentially in the position. And yes, some of the influence he seemed to have wasn't helpful as a player. I don't think there's any question. We've certainly talked about that over the years, but maybe it's just the texters. But I would say that most people that I used to be around when he was here, and even that I, occasionally talk to, am around now, I don't think any of them are offended by this notion or worried somehow that, well, God, I guess it doesn't matter about it. Aren't you supposed to put banners up there? Of course you're supposed to put banners up there, but you can put jerseys up there. How many other jerseys do we have up there? Malik?
We have Malik and a sign for Flip.
And a sign for Flip.
Yep.
Okay, so those are important individuals in the history of this franchise. I don't think that has anything to do with saying, well, we don't care about championships. It's just, it worries me sometimes that maybe people are too young to remember what a good player he was.
And what the scene was like, and the vibe, and the whole thing. And yes, the playoff stuff was frustrating after a while, and how it ended wasn't good. No. After the 1 year to the Western Conference Finals, which was up until a couple of years ago the best year the franchise has ever had.
Correct.
it was a mess after that with Ricky Davis and Randy Foye and trying to piece it all back together to make to squeeze whatever they could out of KG. It was not good after that year. They never went back to the playoffs.
There are plenty of I'm reminded by a couple of listeners, there's plenty of teams, franchises that have raised banners without that player having won a championship.
Exactly right.
Now, again, if you're really good, if you can be arrogant about this if you're the Lakers or you're the Celtics,
or
right?
You're the Lynx.
Or you're the Lynx. And you can say, yeah, well, we're only going to even consider putting them up there if it's accompanied with titles. But it's not that unusual. We're acting like it's more unusual,
right.
I think, that it really is. Talkback is encouraged today because that's how we're going to give away a pair of tickets to see not only Jimmy Jam and Lewis at the Minnesota State Fair that first Saturday, which is the 29th. Not Friday, but the Saturday the 29th. That's how you're going to win. A good talkback that'll allow you to open the door to go to the concert and tickets to get into the Great Minnesota Get-Together as well. So we're not going to make you pay for even part of it. So talkbacks, and they can be on this subject. They can obviously be Vikings preseason related, which we talked a lot early. The cruelty of the game that we talked about earlier as well. Anything is on the table. Any of those will indeed be part of the bit.
You're listening to Barrero on The Fan.
From the 1-800-ASK-GARY Traffic Center.
This report is...
Find it, search KFAN on YouTube, and hit subscribe today.
I think part of what we have going on right now via the Bradshaw and Bryan KFAN text line is people are confusing two completely different issues. We have a million examples, and we often share them. We often discuss them, where we go, God, our standards are awfully low. My God. We win 4 in a row. We act like we're on our way, We get excited about a chance to win a division title, and like, okay, those are fair. I mean, that they're the leveling, maybe the lowering of standards is a problem in this town for everybody but the Lynx. And I think that's absolutely worthy of discussion. But I think you can do that and mean it and still celebrate what that jersey retirement night means to people. Now, you can make the argument, I guess, that of itself is too much living in the past. And I will admit, do you remember when Garnett came back? The idea is he's going to come back and play for us.
Yes, with Flip.
And
yep.
He's going to give us, he might only give us like 11 minutes or 10 minutes, but it's just going to be great. And then my recollection is, after the first game in which he played, then we hardly ever saw him again.
There was a time where we didn't see much of him.
Exactly. And I understood that frustration. I go, wait a minute, because I got sold something different.
Yep.
I had no expectation he was going to play 40 minutes or be a starter or anything like that, but just, okay, you're just going to get a few minutes. And the thing fell off the edge of a table. And so I can understand some of that frustration. But I'll say again, you're not reading the room accurately if you think the fans who are into this are somehow complacent and don't care about the lack of championships or somehow lowering their standard. It's just an attempt to put player and franchise back together.
That's it.
One last time. A player who I don't know, by the end of Anthony Edwards' career, KG may no longer be the best player in Wolves history. But until Anthony Edwards came along, was easily the best player. And how do we define best? Well, again, you can do it a couple different ways. He was not come fourth quarter bring it to the ticket guy. He really wasn't, despite that quote. But he was a terrific two-way player in terms of, rebounder, defense, and he could score. But beyond that, I've used this example before about, I think I've used it with several players, including Walter Payton. The idea that if you're a ticket buyer, I might not see my favorite player win tonight, but he's not going to cheat me. He's not going to mail it in. He's not going to take the day off. He's not going to demand extra minutes off. He's going to give me everything he had that night. And really, again, for ticket buyers, to me, that's the ultimate litmus test. Yes. Obviously, you want a championship on top of that if you want, but more than anything, it's like, he didn't cheat me tonight. And he could have, because you reach a level sometimes, you go, okay, well, he didn't have to play that game, or he was a little nicked up, whatever the case may be. He prided himself. He still complains about it.
He does.
About the players today, about, the old, we might have that quote somewhere. They pay you for 82.
They pay you for 82, yeah.
Right. It's a terrific. If you're a fan, that on that basis of that quote alone, if you've forgotten the Garnett meaning here, all it should take is listen to that quote again to say, yeah, sign me up. I'll be there that night. I'll gladly give him another standing ovation.
He made the organization for the first time ever a legitimate organization. It wasn't a laughing stock. It wasn't embarrassing.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody wants to win more. Nobody's disputing that. I think people are forgetting how good, just like now, the West was extremely good. There were a lot of really good teams in that era that KG had to deal with, and he didn't have enough until the 1 year when he did. And if Sam Cassell never gets hurt, I'm still thinking they're winning the title.
The big balls dance.
Yes. If he doesn't do that and hurt himself, I think they beat the Lakers. We never have to think about Kareem Rush, and we go beat the Pistons, I think it was, in the finals that year. So, yeah, and the other thing, too, is there's a million people to blame, like you said, including Kevin, but it was nonsensical that he's been gone this long.
I agree.
That there was this frozen part of the relationship, and we don't know all the reasons. And like I said, there's a million people at fault for it. Of course he did. But if you're a fan, look at what just happened with the Knicks, where every single game, 50 former players were sitting courtside or in the crowd, right, hanging out and watching. None of those guys won titles, but those were Knicks legends, right? I mean,
a couple. Walt Frazier, that's basically, and a couple others from those teams. That's it.
From 53 years ago.
Exactly right.
But
since then,
Patrick Ewing.
Exactly.
I know Oakley's not allowed there, but John Starks.
Yes.
Marbury got in on it.
Right.
So when you're in a good period like the Wolves are right now, I think really the only thing missing from the last 4 or 5 years of the Wolves was, man, KG never really got to be here for it. And you're there at a lot of those games. Wally's been back. Gugliotta's been back. Troy Hudson, he's still in town. He comes to games, right? They honor former players that come to the games. Freddie Hoiberg's been back.
Yeah.
And Garnett was one that never really came back. And that, for a fan, and I am one from day one, that's a legitimate void. Now, does it mean everything's great and everything will be better now that he's here? Of course not. But it's just nice that he's back in the fold, and it's a possibility to have him around more.
What do all these players have in common? Jared Allen, Matt Blair, Bill Brown, Joey Browner, Bobby Bryant, and coaches, Jerry Burns, Chris Carter, Chris Dolman, Carl Eller, Jim Finks, Chuck Foreman, Bud Grant, Dennis Green, Steve Jordan, Paul Krause, Jim Marshall, Randall McDaniel, Randy Moss, Alan Page, John Randall, Ahmad Rashad, Corey Stringer, Scott Studwell, Fran Tarkenton, Mick Tinglehoff, Kevin Williams, Ron Yeri, and Adrian Peterson all have in common.
The one thing I know they all have in common is none of them won a Super Bowl for the Vikings.
And they're all in the Vikings Ring of Honor.
Yes.
It's okay, boys and girls. There was just way too much rage over this thing. Trust me, we're the guardian of the standards. We're not going to lower. We're not going to forget about higher standards and not believing in commemorative prints. This is not a commemorative print in that sense. It's the best player in franchise history, or at least for all but the last 3 or 4 years of it, if you want to get back into that argument, and having a chance to have his moment, and for the fans who enjoyed being around him to have their moments.
So let me ask you this, as the bearer of the standard, or the guardian of the standard. When Nafisa Collier signs a Supermax with Vegas next year and leaves the Lynx after her 1-year deal here, let's say they don't win the title this year. Let's say Olivia Miles gets hurt or doesn't play well in the playoffs in Vegas, or perish the thought for Lynx fans, Caitlin Clark steals it away from them, right? Does Nafisa Collier get a banner next to the others that are there? Think about who's up there.
Good question.
Lindsay, Simone, Maya, Sylvia just went in.
I actually think she might not, because there'd be bitterness in that case. Because she wouldn't be.
She'd be the only one that didn't.
Garnett was traded and had to be forced into accepting the deal. He did not want to leave.
Yeah.
I don't know if Collier would.
I mean, do we put Fee up there if she leaves?
I'm not sure.
Without a
if
ring?
she leaves as a free agent
and they don't win a ring
without a ring, after the head coach and the woman in charge of the entire basketball operation says, in effect, we're not making any moves for the deadline, which we all translated that into, we know she's coming back. We already know.
Which that's my betting money.
Mine too.
I don't know why you would leave.
I don't think there's anything guaranteed at that
Collier needs a ring, don't you think?
She kind of does, yeah.
Be up with the rest of with that group?
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of room on that side.
No.
They're about to have to do like the Lakers or Celtics things where they have a couple of different rows or they combine and just put numbers on one banner. Like there's not a lot of room on the Lynx side.
No, that's
Both
true.
sides wide open. It's waiting for you.
Maybe they need a new arena.
Well, they're going to get one eventually.
For both teams?
Well, yeah, they're the same organization. Yeah. They both have to play there. The Wolves don't make everybody else
Maybe
mad.
the Lynx need their own arena. Probably unrealistic.
Probably unrealistic.
2026.
Yeah, I don't think we need two basketball.
You know who might get it done? Lester Bagley.
The Bagman?
The Wolves should be talking. A-Rod and Laurie should be talking to the Bagman.
You're right. They should.
They really should.
They should be talking to a lot of people about a lot of things, but the Bagman is right up there for sure.
Wow, this is what a cheap shot here. Does Urgent Care retire Buxton's number? Wow. Out of nowhere.
I mean, the guy just wants to play his whole career here.
Yeah. Doesn't want to be traded.
He says every day, I'm a Twin. That's tough.
We lost again yesterday.
It wasn't good, too. We blew
Grand
a lead, right?
slam in the first.
I think
another home run. We've now lost, I think it's 10 out of 14.
It's not a good stretch.
And you can, I guess, console yourself with the fact that we're still only like a game and a half out of the last wild card spot. But now I counted them up. There are 6 teams all within 2.5 games of each other vying for that last wild card spot, not counting the team that's in that wild card spot, okay? And 3 of them are ahead of the Twins. So that's where you got to be careful. Say, still only a game and a half out. Now you're wrestling with a bunch of other teams that are either just ahead of you or just behind you. Meanwhile, both this is White Sox. How about a Cubs-White Sox World Series?
I'd actually love that.
That'd be unbelievable.
That'd be great.
In fact, I think now they're playing. I think they got a 3-game series coming up at Wrigley. That's, of course, regular season.
Still fun, though.
I don't know the last time they've both been as good record-wise as they are right now between the Cubs and the White Sox. All right, let's do this. Let's stay on schedule. Bottom of the hour pause. Don't forget Ben Lieber coming up in about 20 minutes or so. We're going to sprinkle in some A-section stuff as well. Maybe get a little more Vikings preseason reaction when we return.
You're listening to Barrero.
Summer Mystery Prizes are back. We're bringing them to you all summer long. Get yours at KFAN events throughout the summer. Wherever you see our KFAN street team, then make sure to redeem them at Mall of America for fun prizes and big discounts. Full list of events, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
And we've heard from the hockey community. 763 guy, do we feel the same about Mikko Koivu for the Wild and having his number retired? Seems like the Wild just needed to hang a banner. Well, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not as anti-Mikko as some of our listeners have been over the years from the hockey community. But, I don't know. I wouldn't call it a Kevin Garnett-like
it's not
presence.
No, he wasn't.
In
Fine
Minnesota
player,
Wild history.
Important player, proud player.
Yeah.
Was on the team a really long time.
I don't know. Interesting. Good to hear from the hockey community, though.
Yeah. They've been kind of quiet lately. Not a lot going.
The only thing there is we have going, and maybe we'll get into it tomorrow, is the annual athletic
fan survey.
Wild fan poll.
Yes, the fan survey.
There's some interesting items there that kind of fill in this inertia, but or the gap, so to speak. But otherwise, yeah, there's not a lot. Really not a lot to chew on right now. That is indeed for sure. The story, I think, broke, was it Friday that Luigi Mangione changed his plea or pled guilty to the murder of Brian Thompson? I think it was Friday. We did not talk about it much then. But I noticed a link from our guy, Gerald Posner, who watched a Michael Smerconish analysis of that big news out of Friday, and maybe even a larger observation from Smerconish as well, worthy of perhaps a minute or two. Let's listen to Smerconish, the outstanding, I think, political commentary and talk show host.
1 week after the murder, to the day, in the same 6 o'clock hour, I walked that sidewalk where it happened en route to work. The only evidence left was a piece of police tape flickering from a road barrier that had yet to be removed. Missing? Any flowers, candles, photographs of the decedent? All the usual markers that we're accustomed to seeing where there's been an innocent loss of life. But a few feet away was a poster on a pole depicting the killer as a saint. Free Luigi, it said. And that was just the beginning. For 20 months, a corner of this country has treated this young man as a hero. The merchandise, the fan mail, the crowdfunding, the crowds cheering outside the courthouse. I'd like to think that some of that reverence was propped up on the fiction that maybe he didn't do it, that he was a scapegoat, that the evidence was just too tidy. I'd like to think that, but I don't believe it. Because the approval came first, before a trial, before a defense, before any of the doubt was manufactured. Emerson College polled 1,000 registered voters the week of the murder. Nationally, 68% called the killing unacceptable. But among voters 18 to 29, 41% called it acceptable. They weren't endorsing a man, they were endorsing an act. The man came later, the posters, the T-shirts, the fan mail. First came the permission. Yesterday should have settled it. Under oath, in open court, in his own voice, he took away the last excuse anybody had for doubting. Instead, look closely at what he actually said, because he wasn't repenting, he was pitching. He began...
There you go. You get the sense of it right there. Polls are tricky. Do they really capture how people feel? Hell, we just had a bunch of polls that were way off again on in the state of Minnesota regarding the primaries. And we keep saying we've got to learn from that, and then we end up repeating the same mistake over and over again. But I'm having a hard time getting past what Smerconish mentions and what Posner noted. 41% of people aged 18 to 29 called the murder acceptable. I don't know what we do with that, man. If that is even close to accurate, and we got to deal with it. I don't know how you deal with it. I don't know what you do with it, because I like the way Gerald put it. He writes, vigilante justice is a euphemism for murder with better PR. In reporting for my book, Pharma, I interviewed dozens of people whose lives were upended by industry excesses. All that's true. It's also true that the public execution of Brian Thompson deserves full, unequivocal condemnation, full stop. I've never understood why rational people cannot keep those two issues, the crisis in American healthcare and cold-blooded murder, separate. I'm with him. I don't know. I'd like to know where that rage comes from exactly, or where it becomes, where you blur the lines between concerns about those issues and cold-blooded assassination. And the larger issue that you open when you say yes to acceptable in that poll. Because it's the old be careful what you wish for. Once you grant permission, then everybody on all sides of all kinds of issues also think they might have permission to say, well, in my world, this should be acceptable too. I'm not sure that how that serves the larger culture at all. That number surprise you? 41%.
Yes. Well, it doesn't. In a way, it doesn't. I think your inclination is to be shocked by it. And then you think about it and go, well, maybe it's not that surprising. But it's scary for sure.
It's scary because it means a line's been crossed that makes me not want to trust you with anything, including your vote, including what you do with your vote. On the other hand, if that's the reality, there has to be some attempt for cooler heads to figure out what we do with that sentiment, to try to change it, to control it, whatever. And I'm not standing tall for United Healthcare or any other health insurance. There's no question there are major issues and concerns there. But it's the old be careful what you wish for. Because in this situation, you may have decided in your mind they're evil. They're the devil. A lot of people identify their own devils. And once we go down that road, I don't know where it ends, but I think it's definitely something I hope the people who are attempting to talk to individuals in that age group to try to figure out where the hell that comes from and what we do with it, because I don't think there's anything healthy about it for the culture at large. Let's stay on schedule. Let's return to the toy department. Ben Lieber was, of course, on the call, sideline reporting, booth reporting. Vikings' first preseason game, a victory against the New York Giants.
Bad football, that's what you call it, Paul.
We'll talk about bad football. We'll talk about bad injuries and so much more with Nacho. And don't forget, hit the talkback line. Any reaction on anything we've talked about today might lead you to get a pair of tickets to see Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis at the Great Minnesota Get-Together that first Saturday of the fair. I believe that's the 29th. Tickets to the concert and tickets to get into the Great Minnesota Get-Together as well. So don't be bashful about the talkback.
This is Bumper to Bumper with Dan